17 not admitted without parents or guardian.
Hello. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm on. I don't know if Bill's on. That's a great question. Hopefully you can all see me.
Hello. Wow, there's something really strange going on with the broadcast tonight. It's almost like somebody doesn't want us to be on. Oh, and I see Sam actually was there, and I got rid of his camera. So Sam, come back. Please, I can't do this show by myself. Anyway, for right now, welcome to the Drive-In Asylum double feature. And I see we have 25 viewers right now, so everybody didn't bolt when we weren't on camera right at the beginning of the show. I'm not sure what's going on here. Sam's camera. There you
I'm
go.
back. Sorry, I for some weird reason I couldn't I couldn't see you, but I could see the side screens.
Yeah.
So
good times.
Good times. Well, hopefully that's the extent of our technical problems this afternoon or this evening.
I have a feeling we're in for lots more.
Yeah, sweet. That's we're dealing with future times and all sorts of crazy stuff. So
yeah, it's it really is the place where anything can happen.
Yeah. Welcome, guys. I was telling Bill before we started, I am ridiculously excited because these are two of my favorite movies of all time. And two drive-in movies for me too.
Yeah.
Played the Spotlight 88 in Beaver Falls, PA. I didn't see your, but I definitely saw Star Crash and Battle Beyond the Stars together, which talk about a double feature. But I'm excited.
You may see an ad for that later.
Ooh, oh man, that would be too much. Yours awesome because Anthony Dawson is one of my favorite directors, aka Antonio Marghetti, and he designed Anthony Dawson. The costumes for the bad guy in this are recycled too from The Humanoid, a movie that Marghetti had done the effects for 2 years before this, or 3 years before this. So it does look a lot like Star Wars, but you should know that your predates Star Wars by, about 10 years. Because as we'll learn later from our guest, Stephen, when he's on for the second segment, your was a comic book in Argentina and eventually sold all over the world except the United States. So how weird to bring a movie to the U.S.
How about yes, we need to talk about him.
Yeah, Stephen Ross is our guest. He is the translator and writer of the new You're a Hunter from the Future comic, which is coming out from Antarctic Press. It came out this Wednesday. The first issue just came out. And he also has some other really wild projects that tie into our second movie, too, which is potentially more exciting. But yeah, the Yor comic looks great. It's the first English translation ever of Yor, which is super exciting. Someone had said to him, "Well, it was printed in the UK. It is not. It's this is the first time it's ever been in English." So it's exciting. The Yor that we get to see in the US too is really 4 episodes of an Italian miniseries that was about 4.5 hours long. So if it feels really discombobulating at points and like a lot is happening, both of these movies are a lot is happening movies. Like Star Crash is a whirlwind tour. Like it's once it stops, like I think that's what hit us all at the drive-in last year of why we loved it so much. Like nothing, like it never stops. Like so much stuff happens in it. Yours very similar, but yours also condensing 4.5 hours into about 85 minutes of a narrative. So some things get lost.
It should have been a TV miniseries.
Well, it was, yeah, it was.
Nice.
Yeah. I have the miniseries. It's also on. You can find it on Daily Motion. It's kind of hard to find, but it's pretty wild. Darren, I did not see it at the drive-in. I've talked about it before, but I saw the trailer. I was 11 when it came out, and when I saw the trailer, I said to my dad, "That looks like the best movie ever." And my dad said, "That looks like a piece of shit." And he said, "We're not going to go see that." And I was super sad. I did see Yor though on HBO after, and I rented it tons of times. And then it is one of the first movies when I started doing my DVD collections. It was out of print for a long time until the Mill Creek Blu-ray came out 2 or 3 years ago. I got a bootleg of it from the Carnegie Library. That's where I got it because they still have a DVD of the original DVD that came out. So I copied it, but I've since bought so many copies of Yor that I think I've made up for it.
Special thanks to tonight's sponsors, Tim Dorch and Steve Wilson.
Oh, thanks, guys.
They both contributed to the show over the week. So voila, you're going to see their name in lights pretty soon. But, you know, I thought I'd spoiler alert. It was Tim and Steve.
Aw.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. And if you would like to make a small donation to keep the show going, we're just talking about a couple bucks. groovydoom@gmail.com is the PayPal address. And, so there you go.
2 birthdays this week too, Bill. Sean Midas, happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And Chip LeMay's wife, Karen, her birthday was also this week. So congratulations. Happy birthday. Hope you guys had great birthdays. And welcome to Italian Science Fiction Week in your honor.
There was another birthday too last week that I forgot to mention. He doesn't normally show up in the chat, but I know that he's a lurker. Christopher Von Bross.
Oh, okay.
Happy birthday, dude.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah. So yours is a strange movie when it came out. It gets both a tag of being a Star Wars ripoff and a Conan ripoff. Yes, it obviously did come out in the Conan exploitation wave that happened after Arnold's movie. But
Conan's exploitation. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, there's a ton. Ator, 4 Ator movies, for example. Throne of Fire. I could go on, and we'll go on. Gore, yeah, Gore, Son of Gore, or what's the second Gore movie, which they were shot together.
Oh, I didn't know there were 2.
Yeah, they're shot at the same time.
Wait, Oliver Reed's in that, right?
Oliver Reed's only in the first one, yeah.
Okay.
And Jack Palance is in the second one. It seems like a not as good of a trade-off. And the Gore movies are based on a series of novels that have given way to online BDSM subcultures called Gorian, where it's about guys serving women in a or women serving guys in a barbarian context. So the Gore books are really a little creepy. Iron Master, yeah, I see David brought up. It's another great one. I love sword and sorcery ripoffs. Sword and the Sorcerer, Sorceress, Deathmaster, of course, 4 Deathmaster movies. Deathstalker movies. There's so many because it's really easy to shoot these in Italy because all the Italians did was like, hey, we used to do these as Hercules movies and as Peplum movies. So why don't we just do the same thing we did 20 years ago and maybe just instead of wearing Roman costumes, we just don't wear shirts. We just wear loincloths, and you just get it's the same Steve Reeves trick. You get a muscular American to play the hero, and you're pretty much set. That's what they did in your, you know, the
What's his name?
oh gosh, it just hit me.
I
I wasn't say his name.
really should know this.
Red Brown. Red Brown.
Thank
Red
you.
Brown. Who
Wasn't he in Howling 2?
He is in Howling 2, and 5 years before this movie, he played Captain America in 2 TV movies, including facing off with Christopher Lee. And the second one, Captain America: Death Too Soon. And he's in a ton of stuff. He's in some Bruno Mattei movies. He's in Robo War for Bruno. He's all over this. He's the blondest guy that ever lived, and he's really great at just yelling stuff, that's why I like him. Also, super nice guy online. He's just like the sweetest guy. So, and then we got some, at least for me, some royalty. Clarion Clary, French actress who was in Moonraker. She's a Bond girl, and she was in The Story of O. She's also in The Devil's Honey for Lucio Fulci. And if you've if a movie that proves that you can squat over a saxophone, I guess, if you want to. And also Lucio Pigozzi, who is the Peter Lorre of Italy. He's in everything from Blood and Black Lace to, gosh, name an Italian horror movie from the 60s or 70s. There's a good chance he's in it. And there's the Master is the bad guy in this, and you may recognize him from Shock. He's the new husband in Shock.
Mm-hmm. The airline pilot.
Yeah.
It does that dramatic wobble on the plane.
Yeah, John Steiner. He was also in Caligula and Salon Kitty. And he's also in Tenebrae. He gets killed, and he's the one that figures out what's going on in Tenebrae. Yeah.
But he's the killer.
The original killer,
He's the, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
the first killer.
The first killer.
And then Anthony Franciosa takes over.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. But the cool thing about Yor is, like, it's very episodic, and a lot of different, like, if you're bored, like 2 minutes later, you're going to be in a completely different place, and Yor is going to be blowing up another thing. Also, like, the title itself is a spoiler. You're going to think, this is a caveman movie? Hold on. No, it's he's from the future. He's the hunter from the future for a reason.
But yeah, you're supposed to, I guess, not know that somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a Planet of the Apes kind of ending, but you're going to know it anyway.
It's kind of like, what do you call it? Shocking Dark, where you're like, oh, I'm supposed to forget this is an Aliens and Terminator ripoff, because at the end, the last 10 minutes, it goes hard into the Terminator 2 ripoff.
Yeah.
And then when it happens, you've been so far along, you're like, oh, wait. Oh, that's why. And so that kind of happens in this too. Anthony M. Dawson, as we call him, Margetti, is the king of miniatures in movies. So there's a lot of miniatures in this. There's a lot of laser blasts. He's getting the most he can get out of it. He said in interviews that he really enjoyed this movie. He also talks about that it's a party movie, and it's meant to be watched with a bunch of people yelling at it.
Party, man.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think this is a good movie to have an audience together to watch with. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but I am saying it's a super fun movie. And for me, that's a little more important. This feels like a perfect drive-in movie, because you can pay attention when you want to and fade out when you don't want to, and kind of come back and you're like, oh, wow, cool. There's blue cavemen now. That's kind of what I dig. Also, much like Ator, there's a hang glider scene. So that's pretty cool.
How about Yor versus Space Hunter?
I'm into Yor. I'm a big fan of him.
Oh, James, I love your icon. Them.
Also, Yor meets a woman that is maybe also related to, like, he's kind of like one of those comic book orphans that doesn't know his origins, and he meets a woman who has the same medallion as him. Don't get don't get too attached to anybody except for Yor and Pag and Clear and Clary. Everybody else is ripe for the destruction. This movie starts with one of my favorite scenes of any movie, though, Bill, because Yor fights a combination Triceratops Stegosaurus, which they're not the same race, believe it or not. They're different dinosaurs. He fights both of them and kills it with an axe, and then drinks the blood of the dinosaur and says, "When you consume the blood of your enemies, you become stronger. Now let's cut off the choice meats." That line is not in the Italian movie. That was invented for this. But it's pretty great.
Of course.
Yeah. But I saw someone mention the Super 7 should make figures. Yor is one of the few properties that, and Star Crash, they're two of the few properties that there haven't been a ton of toys made for. The only shirt that I've ever found is the Fast Customs one that I'm wearing. Like, there's not, like, Fright Rags is not doing Star Crash shirts, go figure, or Yor shirts. That's why I'm super excited about the comic book coming out, because it would have been nice if the comic came out when it did. But as I'm sure you'll show us, Bill, Yor had a pretty wide release. MGM carried it in the US. They were carrying all the canon stuff at the time too. So I always like when MGM would get their hands dirty by like saying, "Well, these exploitation movies need some distribution." So hey, Drew. David said, "Is the longer Italian cut available on Blue at all?" It was only available from a site called Cult Action, which is now sadly out of business. I got it right before they went out. It is on, you can find it online, but it has never been released legally in the US. But I guess it's not legal. I guess it's not even legal, because who cares about the rights of something that is from Italian TV and it's never been shown here? I don't even know if it's been released overseas. That's why I'm excited to ask Steven when he's on. But yeah. Oh, Columbia.
Somebody does. Someone cares about those rights. The minute you put it out, someone's like,
Yeah.
It's my movie, prove me wrong.
Yor is a hard to find streamer too. That's why we waited so long to show it, until we found the Daily Motion one that it posted, because it is on Tubi, but you're gonna watch the Riff Tracks version. And I'm very protective.
Yeah, don't watch that.
I'm very protective of Yor, and I don't like people making fun of it.
I was really annoyed by that. I couldn't find like a really nice version of the movie to link to, so it's just the one on Daily Motion. It's a VHS rip.
Yeah, but you know what? So. That's cool. Imagine you rented it from a mom and pop, and
who cares?
And it's been seen by. There's like a thrill to that, isn't there, Bill? Where you're like, oh man, I wonder who else rented this. That's one thing we miss. Like, did you ever do that when you got a book out of the library? You're like, oh man, like my dad got this book 40 years ago. You see like the names written in the old library card.
I like that you can watch things HD if you want to, but I hope we never lose that those old VHS rips. And I love a grainy transfer from a 35 millimeter print. Like, it's all beat up and if there's shit cut out of it, I like that because it's got a little character.
I do too. And it's like the idea that, when you can see tracking on it, or you can see beat up parts of it, you're like,
yeah,
this is lived in, and other people have enjoyed the same document that you're watching. You're not seeing this perfect Blu-ray thing. And I like that.
Everyone paused it on the boobs, Sam. You weren't the only one.
Every scene with Clear and Clariness. There's one scene early on where Yor first meets her, and her tribe puts on a big celebration for him saving everybody and killing the dinosaur, and she does this mating dance to him, and you're like, holy shit, like what is going on? Like, it would put me, if I'd seen it at 13, I would have hit puberty like way sooner than I did.
I thought you did hit it way sooner because you were talking about something else you saw that caused it.
It would have been a different, like, I'm going back to the Anton LaVey writings of like how you get marked by what you see in puberty. It would have, instead of Betty Page, it would have been Clear and Clary. But these are interchangeable things. These are all wonderful, great stuff. My friend Jim used to do this. I'm sure he won't mind me saying it, but my friend Jim, he used to make mix VHSs from what he rented, snippet tapes, he would call them, where he would take scenes of stuff. And I remember he had one that was like The movie Mischief was in it because Kelly Preston is nude in it for a considerable time. Like a couple other people were nude, and then like the only other thing that he could find, because his parents didn't have HBO or Cinemax, was like a plastic surgery breast augmentation infomercial that was on like at 2 a.m. and it just had a guy drawing markers on a breast, and I'm like, how is this interesting to you, Jim? He's like, well, it's breasts. And I'm like, is it? But back in the days of the internet, we didn't have these things. So sometimes you made your own snippet tapes, I guess. Dan asked, how is You're from the Future? I can't spoil that. You got to watch the movie. I mean, that's the dramatic character, the hero's journey of this movie is him finding out, why is he from the future? Why does he have this gold medallion that has circuitry on it?
Set me straight on this. Like, why is it that he was, and you don't have to reveal why, but I mean, like, did he know he was going into the past, I guess?
Well, no, he is an orphan, and he has kind of like American Ninja or there's so many stories like Tarzan, really, right? Like he doesn't know how he got in this strange land and why he doesn't have a memory. Do you know what I mean? So he's just been, for the 25 years, whoever he's been alive, he's just been surviving on his wits and fighting dinosaurs.
But it's based on stuff that was already written, isn't it? Is the movie?
It is, but it's, that part of it is kind of close to the original comics, like that he's just like a wanderer and he shows up and saves Pag's tribe. And like, you're kind of like in the comic itself, is you'll see when Steven's on, the comic is kind of written with an omniscient narrator that speaks to Yor, and it's kind of trippy, like very heavy metal. The magazine, not the music, but where it's like, oh, Yor, someday you'll discover the fragments of your memory and understand where you come from and why. And it's, but it's almost talking, it's talking to you, but talking to but that, I guess that's the thrill of how many comic book characters are like that. Yeah, like Popeye. It's like, who's my dad? And like as Popeye would say, Poop Deck Pappy is your dad, which is, if you found out your dad's name is Poop Deck Pappy, I don't know how you'd feel. But okay, so Dan's seen it. There's no way of me telling you what it is without spoiling it. I don't want to.
Well, here's my real question.
Sure.
Are we supposed to, like, obviously this was not a secret. The movie kind of makes the twist like a Planet of the Apes type moment. But everybody would know that. That must be why they put the hunter from the future right in the fucking title of the movie. I mean, the movie was trying to pretend, but the title
and the comic definitely, the comic
gave
is,
it away.
You're the hunter, so like it's definitely like a surprise in the comic when it happens.
Okay.
But also that, like, the other thing that's really interesting to me about York is this came out right around the same time as He-Man, and the thrill of when Masters of the Universe first came out for me was the idea that cavemen and barbarians could exist at the same time as high tech. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in the first couple, it's funny, and we talk a lot about the religious videos from back then that talk about how satanic and stuff He-Man is. I will say, I will agree with them. Before He-Man turned into a cartoon, the first couple like mini comics and stuff, He-Man feels really weird. He's a caveman that was like, that the sorceress met and put through evolution to be smarter. He found an ancient sword buried in a castle. Like it's all of that mythology of He-Man all got erased when the cartoon came out. Oh no, he's Prince Adam and he's just like Superman. He has like so Yours a lot like that. Yours like a caveman suddenly fighting stormtroopers at some point in this movie. But isn't that cool? It's like he has like a rock axe and he's fighting like dudes that have UFOs and laser guns and stuff. So I dig that. I think that's fun.
You mentioned those religious movies, and I was wondering if you meant Thief in the Night, which was
but I love Thief in the Night. I was saying like the ones that would be on Channel 40, like when they would make the ones like about, remember the one where the guy had Snake Mountain and he was talking to it and he's like, kids out there are saying that He-Man is the master of the universe and not Jesus.
Oh,
And
then
but a
Gary
thief in
Greenwald and his
Gary,
pal.
yeah, but A Thief in the Night. Holy cow!
Yeah,
There's four.
there
There's
was like
four of
six.
those movies, Bill, and they're
I
all
know. I
great.
saw one of them at our church, and it was just kind of, it was weird because it was an ultra low budget movie, which I love.
Yeah,
Obviously, like it was like something you'd see on late night TV, but it had this. Of course, you could see right through it. It was like total like church stuff the whole time, but they had these weird low budget future technology because it took place in the 80s.
yeah. They
Like,
had like things that could read your who you were. Like everybody had the mark of the beast that
yeah,
could scan them. Yeah,
that this
it's
was
what.
all shit that we heard, like, too,
Yeah,
and it was all in this movie as if it were a real thing that was going to happen. And the fake future technology was really, I can't even remember what it was, but there was like weird walkie-talkie stuff in it.
yeah. There is,
And
and there's also, and this is a very much a trope of that era because Jack Chick did it too. A lot of guillotines,
yes,
and
yes.
because the one girl's in the guillotine, especially in the third one, that she's praying to God to save her, and there's an earthquake happening, and the guillotine keeps shaking above her. It's as intense as a super ultra low budget religious science fiction movie can be.
Which was really funny because, like, we used to be the people that cut other people's heads off and burn them at the
Yeah,
stake, but now we're afraid of people doing that to us. There's like
yeah,
all this paranoia coming
and
through.
and there's also a lot of there's the Jack Chick track, The Beast, which is my favorite one, where it's also drawn by, you can always tell the Jack Chick ones. The ones I like are the super ultra realistic drawn ones, right? Not the
Yeah.
cartoony ones. And it's about in the future when the Satanists have won. They all wear like black uniforms, so they're almost like very like Third Reich looking. But their uniforms are beautiful, of course. And they drive around in golf carts that have guillotines on the back. So when they find a Christian, they don't have to like spend all the time going through due process. They can just kill them on the golf cart. And there's a kid that turns his parents in for being Christian, and his parents and grandfather get their heads chopped off. It's I found
That's
it.
scary.
This is super Western Pennsylvania. Ready? We the only restaurant around us that was somewhat fancy was Haas's in Newcastle. That's Haas's with the only word in the English language that has three S's. Haas's with hospitality. There's still a Haas's out here in Bell Vernon. But that's where we'd go for like, when it was somebody's birthday. And I went to the bathroom at one point, and laying on the stall was a copy of Jack Chick's The Beast. And I read it, and it upset me as a kid so much. Because like you said, we were told all the time in church that this was coming. Like these end times were coming, but to see those end times, just like you said in that movie, actually rendered in visual form and not just hearing it in church was overwhelming. It really scared me so much. And so, yeah. And now I love stuff like, I see Beth brought up A Foot Men Tire You, What Will Horses Do? Love that movie. Love all Ron Orman stuff. And now I see it in a different way. But as a kid, like to be confronted with that, like high octane mania is very distressing. A Thief in the Night is a very upsetting movie if you're 11 or 12. If you're, 50 something, you're like, oh, this is kitschy. And it's like, but not at the time. There was a lot of stuff at the end of the 70s like that, like The Late Great Planet Earth.
Oh, yeah. That one really freaked me out.
Yeah, right?
I remember seeing that on TV or so, or maybe it was at the drive-in.
Yeah.
That I saw. It was like L. Ron Hubbard stuff, wasn't it?
It was, I can't remember what the guy's name is, but yeah, they were sold in the same place as Dianetics, right? Because they're, paper. Something that we don't have anymore is like paperback books that promise to either solve things or explain things, like Chariots of the Gods, The Late Great Planet Earth, Dianetics.
That's the first one I thought of was Chariots of the Gods. My grandpa was reading that once.
Oh man!
And I asked him what it was. I'm like, "What is this book?" He's like, "Oh, it's a bunch of bullshit."
It is, yeah,
about space people,
space gods. And also, Eric von Daniken ripped off like a lot of that research from other people. He's still alive, super grifter, but still, like, if we wouldn't have In Search of it, all these shows were not for, Chariots of the Gods gave birth to
whatever. I mean,
Chariots of the Gods gave birth to that doc. That doc did really well, and then Chick Sun Classics was like, we can do this too. And like,
oh my God.
and that's so when then we have all this. So it's funny because like in the 80s, the post-nuclear end of the world stuff got turned into, action movies. And versus in the 70s, you got documentaries or paperbacks about it, warning you what was coming. Both frightening, but Mad Max a little less frightening than the late great Planet Earth. There's a few cults that sprung up around that book too, and there's the movies horrible. Also, the other movie, Bill, that upset me in the 70s, another HBO favorite, is the Nostradamus movie that Orson Welles did the voiceover for.
Yeah.
That was like every time that was on when I was a kid, I knew I would not be sleeping that night because I'd be like, what if Nostradamus was true?
Yeah, they were like, yeah, well, he said this and this came true, and then that came true, and this thing came true, and then you go and read the stuff he said, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, it's
where are you getting this?
Well, you can read something into anything, right?
Sure, yeah.
It's like cold reading. It's the same stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, James said he's a public librarian, and someone would slip Chick tracts into the shelves. Yeah. The other thing about Jack Chick's amazing. He is virulently anti-Catholic.
Oh yeah.
And like to him, like Catholics, because Catholics pray to Mary, they're actually praying to the Whore of Babylon. This gets way deep into my obsession with Jack Chick. I could do a whole series of shows about it. But to this day, anytime my mom sees a Chick tract, she just takes it and gives it to me. So I have like boxes full of them. And there was a whole series of Chick comics that came out, and
I remember those. I always wanted to see one, but you had to order them. I was like, I'm not gonna pay for that shit.
There's one that he was working with a guy, I can't remember what his name is, but he was a former Catholic priest that supposedly had secrets of the Catholic Church. And this guy had left the priesthood.
An expert.
Yeah, he had left the church. He had gotten married, and like every time someone would ask him for proof, the Catholic Church would break into his house and destroy it and rip up his papers and throw them all over the place. And it's like after 6 times, like, don't you think maybe that this guy's just making stuff up? But you know what? It's like I feel the same way about this stuff as I do about Anton LaVey. If you're going to make up your life, make up the most interesting one. Do you know what I mean? Like make one up that is exciting and it feels like a James Bond story, and I'm here for it. So that's pretty cool. But Chick tracts are rough to look at. Let's look at ads. Yeah. The one that I see coming up in the image gallery, I have so many questions about, and it feels like I don't understand it. Your had this one right here. Like this, obviously this picture was shot way before or after the movie, because this is not how Reb Brown's hair looks in this movie. Right.
Is that even Reb Brown?
It is him, yeah, but it kind of
doesn't look like him.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, and it looks like Ian Ziering kind of from TV's 90210.
The body doesn't look like him.
No, and it's
way
like
too lean.
Yeah, it's too lean, and they're like, "Can you measure up?" And if you think about this came out in 82, 83. We were seeing Hulk Hogan on TV every week. Like your doesn't look, and especially in this, like, are you that intimidated by your? You're like. Yeah,
this is not imposing.
No,
he does not look imposing.
It's not Arnold. I mean, we saw Arnold play Conan. Arnold looked jacked to the gills and full of the world's best chemicals at that point. Do you know what I mean?
Pointing at his calf, and it looks like a Barbie leg.
It does.
You barely see like where there's a calf there.
He's in shape, I'll say, and he's lean.
Absolutely, but I mean,
But he's not like, if I saw him, I would be like, oh my God, that guy's terrifying looking. He's.
You could see 100 guys like this coming out of the Ramrod in Boston, or
the Pegasus. I was gonna say Pegasus, but that's
the lore in New York City.
Yeah. Darren said, was this ad created for the gay audience? Yeah, they should have one pointing to his dick that's like 6 1/4 inches.
At least make him a little larger than life.
I know. Well, that's soft. So imagine.
Oh, okay. Then whoa.
Yeah. Whoa, right?
So I love an amazing shot. Here. By the way, these were submitted by Ed Mikowski, who I think is in the chat. So thanks, Ed, for sending these images.
And this
I'm not sure where they come from.
you can see this one definitely. He looks bigger in this picture. He has more mass in this picture.
I guess he does look like the billboard, but like you said, this was probably made way after the movie
Also,
because it's already out. Look, there's a billboard for it.
yeah, I love the billboard, but also like I think the angle he's in, he doesn't look that heroic versus like he's not flexing in it. Do you know what I mean? Like he
David
needs,
said it best.
yeah, yeah. He looks better with the longer hair and not the short hair, and he looks, especially in the movie, he looks really like seems like he has more mass. Oh, it says Reb sent them to him. Wow, that's awesome. Sweet.
Oh, far out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, look at that! Right next
It's
to
beautiful look.
oh, right
Beyond
next to
it.
the yeah, I know, Space Hunter, and right next to the Chateau Marmont, where Belushi would either soon or had just died. I go the first time I got to LA and I went down the street bill. I was like, everybody else with me was just like, yeah, whatever, like wasn't a big deal to them. I was like, oh my god, like I was freaking out the whole time I was on the street because seeing those boards and stuff. But we live in a world where at one point there was a your billboard that was up. Like, how rad is that? I mean, that's the coolest thing ever. Much less a dimensional one that had a cutout. Like,
this was a big deal. It looks like Naomi Malone is goddess
yeah,
at the end of Showgirls.
it does. This is such a capture of a point in time too that I'm looking at, and I'm like, yeah, this is. My other favorite thing about it is if you look in the foreground, there's also there's some real houses like right behind this. Do you know what I mean? That there's people that live like really close to here.
I guess.
Yeah, man, summer of '83.
So this was Ed's your collection.
Oh
I
man,
presume.
that's awesome. I do not have the laser disc. I have everything else here, but not the laser disc, and that's the Mill Creek re-release on Blu-ray, which I saw someone mention you can still find at some Dollar Generals. It's really nice, a really nice set, and the slip it has a slip cover. I mean, that's what all the kids are looking for. But yeah, awesome collection. Oh.
So here's some clippings that I found.
I agree with that first sentence, but you know what? It is not a warp time warp. But I don't feel that's what it is. But whatever.
I'm looking for art.
Yeah,
no, thank you. Your.
Yeah. But you know what? It's 1983. You're like a pre-teenager like me. It's like this is the movie that you want to watch. Like I don't want My Dinner with Andre. I want I want
I want your.
Oh man,
life can be so confusing, aren't they? Right?
Yeah.
Here's a beautiful image.
Yeah, she's really gorgeous, by the way. Like she is just that Italian movie actress, French actress being in Italian movies, but like that look of like she's just perfect. Again,
she's got an Adrienne Barbeau thing going on.
Yeah, she does. And she's really good in it. It doesn't take great acting to be in this movie, but who cares? This one is spoiling some of the movie for you survivors of Doomsday.
Oh
yeah, but
have I gone too far?
Nah, it's cool.
Oh, okay, now we're on to the next one.
Oh, I love this ad so much. I know that this is probably the image we'll see in most of them, but this is a great visual. It's what's on my shirt right now, but I love the type for this. It's just great.
All the secrets are right there in the ad for the film.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
You're still gonna love it.
Yeah. You're gonna go see it Friday. Oh. Wow.
Remember that guy that went to U of M? Wasn't that Stephen King?
Yeah, Steve King.
Steve King.
Now he wants us to call him Steven because he's got a dog movie out.
Yeah.
This is prime, like, a couple of months from like these are all like private school, definitely an HBO watch, a furtive HBO watch. Man, it makes me so happy seeing you're in ads, Bill. I can't even tell you. Like, it's so heartwarming. Like, it just like it's like nostalgia. Maybe there's a little bit of sadness, but also like joy. Like, it's like, this is like, because I know this played and like, I remember looking at ads and seeing you were playing, and be like, oh, if only I could drive my own car and see this.
There's a lot to love.
Yeah. Oh, they really went. They really went for a complicated visual image to run in newspaper ads. Like, there was a chance this would blob out like you wouldn't believe. This ad really treats it well. This looks like a Boston. Yeah. He's like standing in front of a Boston album cover kind of here.
ELO.
ELO, yeah. Also, that's not Corinne Clary and the girl with him. They just put a brunette in it. Don't. Everyone will be fine.
Who cares if it looks like her?
Yeah, I mean, they'll be like 50 years from now, no one will care about this movie, and I'll be like, yeah, well,
that's not true.
It's not true. There'll be some lunatic in Western Pennsylvania that talks about it all the time.
You know that's not true. Maybe just a little true.
See here, this is another one where it's like sometimes it's going to print like this because they went with like an 80%. Gosh, I'm going to get into printing terms, like a dot pattern screen because they thought that would print better, but sometimes it would print too light.
Look where it is.
Oh, in Pittsburgh.
That's right. It played in Cheswick.
Oh, it did. Wow.
That was my hometown theater.
Oh my gosh, Showcase North was the fancy theater to me, Bill. Like that's where I saw. That's where I saw Empire Strikes Back, and I bought they were still selling programs, and I bought the program. Like I saved up and bought it. Man. But yeah, but whenever we see ads for Showcase North now, we'll see like, the other hell played there. And I always think as a kid, like, what if I had walked into the other hell when I was 9? Like, what if? Oh, yes.
Drive-in panel.
Oh, man. Let's take a look. Blue Thunder played with this?
Yeah, that was the co-feature.
Oh, man.
The DIs.
The Easy Money and First Blood is the most schizophrenic double feature perhaps ever, because Easy Money is one of the, like, I love it. It's one of my favorite. We went to see it the day it came out. Like, my whole family were big Rodney fans, and like, I've never heard anybody laugh harder in the theater than my dad did to that movie. Like, I still think about it sometimes, but it's like, First Blood is a dark movie, originally shot with an ending where Rambo kills himself. Do you know what I mean? It's like this is schizophrenic.
Fortunately, they didn't go with that.
Yeah, man. The second movie,
fulfillment.
Aunt Peg was a big star, Bill. She had a whole character. She was way ahead of the MILF trend. Because if you think, it's funny because like we're aging into our adult films now. We're like, oh, those granny movies used to be kind of fun. Now we're like in our 50s. Like, I guess those are just age appropriate now. I like the second movie at the Penn Bowl. Oh, those nurses. Like, what are those nurses getting into now? Oh, those nurses.
Nurse Sherry must have worked at that hospital.
Oh, yeah, she definitely did. They're nurses for sale. Oh, those nurses. A Taste of Money, not A Taste of Honey. And then Animal House came out a couple years ago. Let's throw that in. That's the one that we got down there.
Where did you see Nurses for Sale?
I'm just saying, like, just throwing in, because Nurses for Sale is such a cobbled together movie. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Yeah, Jaws 3D at a drive-in. You're right, Darren. In 2D, could you imagine when the shark blew up at the end and you can see the ET doll inside it? Could you imagine how big it was on the screen and how rad that would be? Oh,
wow. Yeah,
we got to do that. Getting It On, One Dark Night. That's a double feature. Yeah. There is no nudity in there is, but he's wearing a loincloth, so
the kids can watch. Yeah, there's not much left to the imagination. I will say that.
Yeah. Staying Alive, Bill. By the way, if you like Staying Alive, maybe stay tuned to the podcast because it might be coming up.
It's time for that.
It's time for it. Yeah. People are like, the 14 people that listen were like, could you do a Finola Hughes movie? And I was like, I'll do Staying Alive. Wow, the Maple on Route 30, Bill, we're like, Amanda by Night, let's do it.
They're like, what do we got to Amanda by Night?
Yeah.
Hot Dreams.
Hot Dreams. How about
Big sensation.
Porky's 2 the next day, Class Reunion, which is kind of nobody cared about, and Caddyshack. That's a Sam night at the movies. Oh my gosh, though. John Holmes Exhausted played at Mount Lebanon. That's crazy. And Bubblegum. Man, I always think of Mount Lebanon as a classy burg. You know what I mean? Can you believe it played there?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They're like, you can either see John Holmes or you can see Yor. Which one do you want to see?
People forget that National Lampoon's Class Reunion is a slasher spoof.
It sure is. I like it, but it's like, why did it felt like it kind of got like lost in the shuffle of, because like Vacation was such a big deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. How are you going to market it?
Yeah. Trading Places and An Officer and a Gentleman was the other fancy. That was the fancy night out there.
Upscale,
Upscale.
Although you did get boobs in Trading Places of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, you do. That's right. That's a great movie, though. I love that movie.
Some Budco Goldman love here in Philadelphia.
Wow. This Yor played a really wide release. Like it played a lot of theaters. It was all over Philadelphia, as they would say in England.
Yeah, all over the place.
All over the place. Yours all over the place. What is a boy to do? Oh, wow.
There's a lot to see in this one, so I just cut the whole panel out because it was so fabulous.
Okay. Let's just, doesn't it seem, I sometimes get these time like variances, right? Where it's like Return of the Jedi and Risky Business were out at the same time. Like I would never think that those two movies were at the same time. Also, I love in this ad, it happens twice, but they were like, we don't have a logo that fits Return of the Jedi. Just handwrite it. But whoever handwrote it was like, I'm going to get close to that Star Wars font. Like, that's awesome. But on they tried, and they did pretty well. On the bottom, though, Escape 2000 and Warlords of the 21st Century.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Yor and Space Hunter together, Bill, plus the Survivor. Oh, my God.
Yeah, only on, it was added on the weekend.
Oh, the Jesse James. Was the Jesse James a Western themed drive-in?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Let's pretend. The Super 51 was, Bill. The whole Super 51 had like a teepees all over it. And then on the way out, they had a totem pole. And it had different, like, it was like a huge totem pole, all carved. And then there was a little picture of a Native American waving to you when you left. And it said, "Hope we see you before too many moons." And I would cry every time I saw him because that meant I was leaving the drive-in. And I would be like, oh, what if we don't see him again? And, but it was a whole, like, today people would be like, oh, the Super 51, super racist. But, like 7 or 8 year old me would like, this is awesome. Like, I'm like a cowboy.
The Captain Kidd drive-in really was a pirate themed drive-in. There was an ad for that on last week's program, and somebody mentioned that.
Wow.
Stir Crazy.
Wow, I love this. I
love Stir Crazy.
Impact has a Gene Wilder and the box set of all those movies coming out. And Stir Crazy's in it. And it has like them in the is that the one that were there in the chicken costumes?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's on the cover. I love all those movies. Becca is in love with those. And every once in a while we'll watch a Wilder Pryor crossover, and they're so fun. Like, I love those movies. Bill, can you go back 1 second? I want to show you something in that ad. I like when they say the times, like, come for Yor at 9, stay for Stir at 10:45.
Come for the Yor, stay for the Stir.
Also, mature, not suitable for children. I think they're talking about Stir Crazy. They're not talking about Yor. They're talking about
I think they're talking about Yor.
Oh, are they? Oh.
They're like, you know what? This is not right for children to see.
Do you like that surprise is spelled like you're going to get paid off? Like, surprise, get it? $5 per car.
Oh, that is a surprise.
The Spotlight 88 did do $5 a carload nights, and it was about the same price because we were kids. We were like $1 and my parents were $2, I think. The Hurley Burley Theater. Bill, this border on the Burley suggests that this is a once classy movie theater that has gone to seed. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It almost looks like a mustache.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah. It is. We must ask you to come see your. Oh, wow.
And Blue Thunder, of course.
Blue Thunder. I think about Blue Thunder a lot, right? Because
You
like,
do?
yeah, I do. I had the toy when I was a kid. They made a almost G.I. Joe sized Blue Thunder that was like just like an inch off, which kind of sucked. But there's a TV series, the Dana Carvey's in the TV series, and it was always so weird to me because Blue Thunder itself is very anti. Even though he's a cop, it's very much about the police state and how surveillance is going to take over our lives and how that's why he blows up Blue Thunder at the end. It gets gets hit by a train,
Of course.
and then the TV series, it's the exact opposite. Like, isn't this helicopter awesome? Doesn't it let us catch criminals in a much better way? And you're like, but that's not what Blue Thunder was about. I remember seeing it as a kid and being like, this doesn't. But it had Bubba Smith in it and it had Dick Buckus, Bill. So I mean, I was into it, right? It's kind of like a Police Academy adjacent movie.
All right. So why don't we do the drink segment, you think?
I think so. This is the simplest drink ever for the show, Bill. Spoiler.
I know.
Hello. We're going back to... Well, we're not... Well, I don't want to ruin the movie. Let's just say it's prehistoric times, okay? So we're going to make the Blue Caveman. Pretty simple drink.
This is the easiest drink you've ever made.
Yeah. Ounce and a half blue curacao. Ounce of vodka. 4 ounces pineapple juice. It's a Blue Caveman. Bring us the choice meats, as you would say. There's some... that's the blue. And I guess this is the caveman.
It's going to be a green drink.
He makes the vodka drink. He makes a... Anyway, let's stir it up so it gets clear.
It's a teal drink.
Yeah. These look just like the cavemen in Your Hunter from the Future. See, it's on brand.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Aha, Yor would say. Before he ruins a whole village. Pazuzu. Let's see what this tastes like. It's lovely. It's exactly what it should be. Pazuzu, enjoy Your Hunter from the Future, one of my favorite movies. That's it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Bill, look at all those.
You got to
those,
start making those videos a little longer, too.
That one's short. The other one's longer.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see all the artwork for the drinks. It says to me, man, we've made a lot of drinks.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, Pazuzu.
Pazuzu. If you guys want any of the drink videos after, there is an entire drink channel on YouTube. You can go back and watch them all and relive the drunken moments that you've watched movies with us. And there's a letterbox list of all the recipes too, and the recipes are all written down as well. So if you need that, reach out to me. They're also posted on my site. This is a very simple drink, Bill, but it tastes pretty good, and it's blue. So there are blue cave people in this. Never explain why they're blue, but they are blue. So that happens.
Well, this is a kind of a big deal for you tonight.
Yeah.
That we're doing both of these movies together. This is a Sam Panico custom-made double feature.
They really are. Star Crash, which we'll get more into it, is literally the movie that I can point to be like so many of my obsessions in movies come from that. From Cozy to Italian movies to Maniac. Like there's so many nexus points within that movie where you're like, wow. And this too, I think, this is very much like a childhood joy movie for me, where it's like, oh, how perfect is Yor? And it's just great. And these are the kind of movies. These are like my warm blanket movies, and just like they make me feel good about life. So I'm excited to see them. Anytime I see ads for them or I see people mention them, I get excited, because I don't think Star Crash gets both these movies don't get the attention they deserve, but I think Star Crash doesn't, because people write it off as, yeah, it's a Star Wars ripoff, because a lot of movies were then. But I think it's way better than that. I think it's
better than you would expect for
a
movie that you already know it's mimicking something else. I really was surprised by how much I love Star Crash.
It's a Flash Gordon ripoff more than a Star Wars ripoff.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Let's
it's
be honest.
Yeah, Cozy's definitely making his own movie serial, and that's awesome. I think your also would go really well with the canon Hercules movies that we showed.
We would never tell you to watch the Riff Tracks version, Darren. Fuck them. Fuck Riff Tracks. Who cares?
I get upset when certain movies are riffed, like when Mr. Science Theater did Danger Diabolic, when this got riffed, when Star Crash does, because it's really easy to watch these movies and yell stuff at them and make fun of them.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other hand, if you think about it, like both of these movies there's no CGI in them. Like Margetti is like the king of using miniatures, and there's a lot of like cool effects that happen in that are super practical, and it's all in camera, and do you know what I mean? Like, and definitely when we get the Star Crash, no planets will ever look in a movie as wild as they do in Star Crash.
Oh, it's just
beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's like
Christmas.
Everything is neon. Like it's closer to again, it's closer to Flash Gordon than it is to Star Wars, and the look, especially of the theatrical Flash, which is. It's funny, when I got the first email from Steven, who'll be on the second segment, he's like, I looked at your letterbox and your favorite movie on there is Flash Gordon, so I know that we can talk movies. And I was like, yeah, that's the greatest. He's like, the only thing is, he's like, when he was thinking what movie to do, he was like, I really wish you guys hadn't done Super Inframan, because that would be my other pick. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
We did that pretty early, I think.
We did it with Yeti of the Giant of the 20th Century. What a double feature that was, huh?
Cuckoo Nutso.
Yeah.
That's what that double feature was.
It is. But I'm so excited to watch Yor with you guys. And if you don't like it, if you make fun of it, that's fine. But know that you're punching young Sam in the heart. A young fat kid with big thick glasses that just wants to watch science fiction movies.
I did care what other people thought when I was a kid. I guess everybody does. I wish I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I hadn't have been just been like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever.
Well, it's funny because like when I saw Star Crash and Battle Beyond the Stars at the drive-in, I was so excited about both of them, because you also have to think, when these came out, we were in that cycle where it was 3 years, so you got a new Star Wars movie. So the fact that we got a movie like Star Wars with new characters, and especially Star Crash, it has a million crazy things happen. Like, for my imagination as a kid, it fueled my imagination. I drew Stella Star and the sheriff and all the characters from it for a long time. And it's like, oh, where else did they go? And, what else could they do? And then when I got Starlog, when it came out and they talked about it, they just made fun of it. Like, it's a pasta science fiction movie or a spaghetti science fiction movie, and, not high quality. And and I was like, how would they say that? Like, and it's not as high quality as Star Wars, but
Star Wars actually was not as high quality as people thought it was.
Yeah.
And, George Lucas made sure that no one ever remembered that old Star Wars that just came out. He did his best anyway.
The Star Wars that came out that wasn't Episode 4, that they added that later and all this stuff. And I remember watching like something on like some news magazine. It was like 60 Minutes or something. They're like, there's going to be 12 Star Wars, and this is just part 4. And I was like, I remember my dad saying to me, I don't remember that. And I'm like, no, me either. Because they added it. Also, when people talk about Star Wars ripoffs, is always hilarious to me, right? Because Star Wars itself is a ripoff of so many things. It's a ripoff of Kurosawa movies. The craziest one is like when Jack Kirby's New Gods came out in 71, 72. It's about Orion, who finds out that his father is Darkseid, the world's greatest villain, the universe's greatest villain. And instead of the Force, they have the Source. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like, and also Kirby created Dr. Doom, who looks a lot like Darth Vader. Like, it's funny, when Kirby first saw Star Wars, his wife said, these are all your ideas up on the screen and you're not getting paid for them. There's a lot of stuff that Star Wars is a conglomeration of a lot of influences, much like Indiana Jones, like anything created, right? And so whenever these other things come out, they're like, oh. But yeah, Mike says it best. Multicolored space in Star Crash is better than Star Wars. Like, Star Wars feels kind of dirty. Star Crash feels like everything's neon, everything's super
Plus,
awesome.
they were copying. They weren't. It wasn't so much that they were ripping off the story. They
Yeah.
were just cashing in on the success of
Yeah.
Star Wars, because maybe there were people that were going to pay to see something similar, and if you could make it cheaply, get in and get out, you could just make a buck, and it doesn't really matter if anybody likes your movie. But Star
Yeah.
Crash, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. I
Yeah.
don't feel like Star Crash is quite like that. More than any other Italian movie.
I never get the feeling from Luigi Cozzi's work that it feels like he has a joy of making stuff and he's excited to share his ideas with you. Do you know what I mean? Versus as much as I love Joe D'Amato, I know a lot of times he's just like, what money can I make from this? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't get the same feel from Cozzi. And that's why I love Star Crash. It feels like a great night. It's a great night at the movies, and it's about imagination. And yeah, maybe the effects aren't as great, but does Star Wars have Marjoe Gortner? No, it doesn't.
No,
So,
it does not.
It doesn't have Robert Tessier in it too, as a green alien. It looks like a demon. How crazy is that? Like, there's so much stuff in Star Crash where you're like, both these movies are similar, like I said, in that if you're not going to get bored, but if you start feeling like you're bored, like, just hold on, because they're going to be completely different movies 5 minutes from now. We're going to go to a different planet. We're going to go to a different place. Do you know what I mean? We're going to go somewhere else, and it's going to be all different. And you're maybe a little less because yours kind of confined to one planet.
Yeah,
Star
we're watching
Crash is,
your first, so we should talk a little bit more about your.
Yeah,
actually, it's time to go to the movie. So anything you want to say right before we sign off?
Sure. Who has not seen your? I saw a few people that said that they had not seen it.
Yeah.
Let us know quickly. But Thomas says Star Crash has better actors than Star Wars. Yeah. We'll get into that. I have thoughts on that too. Your does not have better actors. But you know what? Who cares? Like, Reb Brown's well cast as your, right? Everybody in this is good. And Lucio Pigozzi is great. Like, I love the lineage of, like, you can trace him back to Blood and Black Lace. And here he is here as an old man that's like the old leader of the tribe. The first tribe.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he's the Obi-Wan. I love, my favorite character in Yor is the woman who lives in the ice caverns that has the same medallion as Yor, because like she really gets a raw deal in this, because like Yor kind of falls in love with her, and again, like I said, don't get too attached to anybody. There's also mummies in this. Like, this has got it all. Like, it feels like when you play with toys when you're a kid, and you're like, maybe you don't have all the toys, you know what I mean, all the figures, and you're just like, yeah, well, what if all these universes of toys crossed over? It really feels like that.
Lots of your first timers tonight.
Awesome.
That's good.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get your opinion afterwards. And I've only seen, I don't think I've ever watched this movie the whole way through, so it's going to be fun for me too.
Also, the theme song is awesome. Oliver Onions did the theme song. It is the most over the top theme song. It's very much like Flash Gordon, like Queen's Flash, but done by an Italian kind of disco-y band.
Yeah.
I love the song from this. And when I rewatched this, when I got the DVD of it, I was, as that said, you'll be singing the theme song for a long time. It's so good.
The link to watch it, by the way, is on Groovy Doom. It's one of the last posts. It's on Daily Motion.
Mm-hmm.
You won't find it streaming anywhere else, except for the riff track version that's on Tubi. Don't watch that one.
No.
Watch the other version and come back afterwards. We'll have Steve Ross with us. Really exciting. He's going to be on the second segment, probably like around 11 o'clock is when we'll be back.
Yeah, and he'll be selling his new comic just came out, from Antarctic Press. You can get it online, and you can ask your local comic store to order it. There'll be 3 issues of it that'll be collecting it. And when you see the art of the original Yor, it's awesome. Like, it looks very much like very heavy metal, and very like, this gets deep cut into heavy metal, creepy artists. But like when Rudy Nebres and like kind of the Filipino artists started drawing for creepy, it has that style. So that's why I love it. That's one of my favorite comic styles. So super excited. Yeah. David said, it sounds like Toto gone Italo Disco. That's a great explanation of Oliver Onions, which is great. Bill, my last thing I'll say, there's a Bud Spencer video game that just came out, Slaps and Beans 2. There's two of them, and Oliver Onions did the music for the video game. And holy shit,
wow.
you can't even. I was watching the trailer for it on my PlayStation, and I was like, who out there is excited? It literally comes up like featuring a soundtrack by Oliver Onions, and I like jumped off my couch and like was like jumping. And Becca's like, nobody cares about this but you, and I was like, but I do. And the fact
I would know.
yeah, and it's like the fact that there's an Oliver Onions scored video game in 2024, like how that is the best.
They've come
like,
a long way since Alien 2.
Oh, on Earth.
Sulla Terra.
That's a movie that I wish we could show again. I love that movie so much.
We have lots of things we could go back and show a second time. Let's watch okay?
Last thing I want to say, and I promise.
Make it fast.
I promise.
You promise?
I promise. We should do a night at the movies live where we tell people we're going to show Alien and we just make them watch Alien ripoffs. They have to watch Contamination and Alien 2 on Earth, and we kind of sell it the whole time like it's a real like we talk about aliens for a bit, and then all of a sudden it starts with people like, I thought we were going to watch Aliens. No, we're watching Alien 2 on Earth.
Alien 2.
Yeah.
Sulla Terra. But this is good.